Hello, beautiful friends. Laurel Bleadon-Maffei here with Illuminating Souls. And as I record this video, it is just before dawn here in Northern California, and it is one of my favorite times of the day. It's that moment right before the world wakes up and the sun kisses the world hello. I'm feeling a little poetic. And it's quiet and it's filled with love. And so I wanted to start this video by sharing that with you. So no matter what time of the day or night this is when you're watching, I'm sending you love from the dawn of this day. And I'm coming to talk with you about my new class, Blessed Embodiment. And um, I have a question for you to help you discern, is this class for you? So the question is, how do you feel about having a body? Okay, it's a weird question, I know. If you're rolling your eyes and going, I don't know what you're talking about, we all have bodies. And you're feeling in alignment with this body and you have a good relationship with having a physical incarnation, then I would say this might not be for you. But if your answer to the question is, oh my God, no, like what does it mean to have this body, and where did my owner's manual go, and I feel much more like a spiritual being than a physical being, and how do I come into alignment with this physical incarnation? Then I want to talk to you a little bit more about blessed embodiment. So I think for all of us throughout the chronology of our lifetime, we have probably had many experiences that have caused us to go on a roller coaster of experiences with this physical body. I know for sure I have. It's been my greatest teacher in this lifetime. And when I was younger, before my spiritual awakening, I really identified as a physical being, and I hoped that I had a soul or a spirit somewhere out there that I would get reunited with when I transitioned. And the real challenge about that is I was not crazy about this body. This body was not what I ordered. Wasn't what I wanted. I wanted Marsha Brady stick straight hair for the 70s. I wanted a much smaller body. I wanted it to be more flexible. I wanted to be able to climb that stupid rope in gym class. All of the things that I wanted my body to be. And no matter what I did, I really couldn't change my body substantially. And then I went through my awakening. And one of the first principles I heard and learned at the University of Santa Monica is you are a divine being having a human experience. Now, I know you've heard this, right? It's 2021. We, in the spiritual community, this is one of the tenets I think that many of us function under. But for me in 2000, that was a revelation. And it was a turning point for me to enable me to begin to really connect with my divine self, my spiritual essence that I had been homesick for most of my life, and reel that in and go on adventures with it and unlock my mystical magical self and all of the beauty that came with it. But at that point, I still was not terribly connected to this body. I would go out there for my adventures. My spirit was beautiful and big and bright and magical, and this body still felt cumbersome. And I had a lot of regret about this body. So a lot of my journey over the last 20 years has been, how do I come into loving alignment with this body and not need it to change? That's a core tenet of this, because my whole life I have held on to this fantasy that someday I would get my body to change into something that I could love. And that didn't work very well for me. So how do I come into loving alignment with this body that's going to be what it is? And so blessed embodiment brings in a lot of the tools, the teachings, the resources, the healings that the angels have brought to me over the years that have helped me come into loving alignment with this physical embodiment. I feel like I'm in a better place of being embodied in this body than I have in a very, very long time. And listen, it's a roller coaster. I'm not saying 3 years from now I'm not going to have challenges with it again. We're always riding the continuum of healing with different themes of our life, right? It's not a one and done kind of experience. So let me share with you some of the elements of blessed embodiment. The first I want to share with you is a process I did 20 years ago when I was deep in a healing journey. And I had started keeping a body journal. In the beginning, I would write about my body, how I felt about my body, what I thought about my body, poetry about my body. And one day I was inspired to let my body write back to me. What did my body want to say to me? And so I started off by writing this apology, this heartfelt apology to my body. I'm so sorry I've judged you. I'm so sorry I've been so harsh to you. And it felt very profound to me, the Earth Girl at the time. And then I shifted consciousness to connect with the wisdom of my body. And I'm going to swear here because my body swore, and I want to be authentic in how I share this message with you. So I share this really kind of heart-rendering um, confession to my body about how I've mistreated it, and my body comes in, and my body says, "You know what? That is some old shit, sister. We stopped listening to you years ago, because if we hadn't, you might not still be here. We're actually good in here. We're pumping your heart. We're pumping the blood. We're breathing your oxygen. Like, we got it going on. We give great hugs. There's laughter that emits from here. Like, this body, we're good here. We're just waiting for you to get on board." And I just kind of paused because it had never occurred to me that my body was happy. In that moment, I understood my body hadn't taken on my sad story I had been telling about it all this time. My consciousness carried the sad story. My emotional body carried the sad story. But these cells, my physical body, they're like, "Girl, we got you. We got you. We got it going on. You're here. You're healthy. You're good." And it opened a doorway for me to begin to contemplate this incarnation differently. And I don't want to say it was my immediate aha and we were all sunshine and roses after that, because that would not be true. But it was one of the elements, keeping a body journal, beginning to dialogue between my consciousness and the wisdom consciousness of this physical body. Because I believe that we have ways of accessing greater consciousness on every dimension, whether it's your body, your soul, your spirit, your mind. And so for me, it was this revelation that I could access the divine wisdom of this body. The other thing that really helped me a lot was to begin to think of this body as a child of Mother Earth. So the angels say we are dual citizens of heaven and earth. Our greater spirit is born of the heavenly body. Our physical body is born of Mother Earth. When our soul, our spirit comes into this incarnation, we enter this physiology that is born of the genetic coding of our ancestors, that is born of the genetic coding of our species. So our bodies have this coding in it that we inherit. In some ways, it's so cool to think about it that way, and to think about the different elements of our body that we inherit. So I am 100% Ashkenazi Jew, which means that my ancestors 100% came from Eastern European Jewish population. And if I think about my ancestors going back 200-300 years, they were living in Greater Russia, Lithuania, Latvia, all of those countries that sort of morphed together with their Jewish population. And it was freezing cold there during the winter, and they didn't have much food. I don't come from wealthy people. They were also prevented from having big agricultural lots. So the food often was sparse, potatoes, root vegetables. Maybe if they were lucky, they would have some form of protein or fish. So lucky me, I inherited the genetic coding that makes me a champion of storing adipose tissue, fat, energy. I don't need to eat a lot to keep this layer of fat cells on my body, which in 2021 doesn't feel like an awesome thing. But I think probably back in 1722 in Russia, as a Jew without a lot of food, this helped keep my ancestors healthy. Another funny thing I think is I have a worry gene. Literally, there is there is a genetic code that 25% of the population has that makes us predisposed to worrying and more anxiousness than other people. And I think again, as Eastern European Jews, we were always looking over our shoulder, like what's coming next? When's the next pogrom? When are the anti-Semites coming to burn everything down? And we have spent most of our um, ancestry looking over our shoulder. And so I think, well, that probably came along with the package. So you have this ancestry, you are living ancestral code of where your ancestors came from and the species. So and we're going to talk about that in a second from an anthropological standpoint. So we're going to help you look at this body as a vessel of Earth, of Mother Earth. So another element we're going to be working with is something called 1Gen. This is super cool and I'm so excited to share it with you. So as a channel, especially when I first started channeling back in 2008, I could ask Josephus and the Wisdom Council any question. And I had a lot of them. And one of the most important questions I had to ask them that I was dying for the answer for, probably a bad choice of words, I was anxious for the answer for, was how do I lose weight? If a genie came out of the bottle, I would rub it and go, make me thinner. I mean, my whole life has been on this this pursuit of how do I lose weight. Everything seems to go around that for me. So of course, as I'm channeling, I ask, what is God and how do I lose weight? And so Josephus and the Wisdom Council brought forward this beautiful teaching that has never veered. It's been the same all of these years, and it's wonderful. And they call it 1Gen. And some of you may even remember, if you've been with me a long time, in 2010, I even developed a whole program around this teaching. But in Blessed Embodiment, we're going to be including it as a module. So this is what 1Gen is. Josephus and the angels, they say this body is a child of Mother Earth. And Mother Earth knows how to feed and sustain all of her children. There are thousands and thousands of years of evolution, anthropological experiences that have put coding into our bodies about how to receive sustenance and well-being from Mother Earth. So when they say 1Gen, they are basically talking about unprocessed food. So an apple from a tree is direct from Mother Earth. And this body has 10,000 years of experience of knowing what to do with this apple. When you take a bite of the apple, the enzymes, the microbiome, all the cells, the hormones, the bile acids, everything has had a lot of experience with that apple and goes to work. If you chop that apple up and bake it or put it in a dish, that's 1 generation away from the Mother Earth. So part of 1Gen, Josephus teaches, is to begin to eliminate processed foods from our diet and to eat foods that are 1 generation or less away from the mother. In the 1Gen program, they recommended we do this for 6 weeks. They said if we would go to 1Gen eating for 6 weeks, it would heal some of the food addictions we were experiencing, like sugar addiction and carb addiction. It would help retrain our palate so we would gain pleasure from a peach or a strawberry versus a chocolate bar. And they also had recommended that we give up refined sugar. They wanted us to stay away from wheat products for those 6 weeks. And I'm trying to remember some of the other elements. In addition to that, they wanted us to spend time in nature because the trees, the plants, the animals, the stars, the sky, the clouds, the moon, the sun, they all have vibrant life force that they share generously with us. So spending time in nature helps to reset our energy bodies. They also include the element of energetic clearing, healing, and upgrades, and also spending time in heart-centered community. Those were the 4 pillars of One Gen. How does this fold into blessed embodiment? Well, I'm not going to ask you to go full One Gen. There's a huge commitment involved to that. And honestly, I don't know that I have the energy to hold space for a whole One Gen program right now. But Josephus and the Wisdom Council are going to channel through the wisdom of One Gen for you. So not only will I just be reciting it to you, you will receive it from Josephus and the angels because it comes with energy as well. And then you'll be invited to do with it what you will. You might choose to go right into One Gen. You may choose to cherry pick some of the elements. You may choose to say, this sounds great, but I'm going to do this a couple months from now. So you're under no commitment to change everything about how you relate to your body in the next 6 weeks, but you will receive the information. And this program is really designed to create spaciousness for you to create a new narrative and build a new bridge between your greater spirit and your body. This body is required equipment for this incarnation. We don't get to swap it out for another model. And you know, our bodies change. They change shape. They might change weight. We might get wrinkles. Our skin changes. Our hair might go gray. And maybe you've struggled with some of this. Listen, I struggle. I'm a human being, and the Earth Girl in me has struggled with this having a body. I want to fly. I want to, co-create. I feel I really much more relate as an energetic being than as a physical one. But we must be in this physical embodiment in order to have this incarnation. So over the next 6 weeks of blessed embodiment, the angels and I are going to help you create a sense of spaciousness and help you rewrite your story of your body and how you relate to it. We're going to help you connect with the wisdom of your body, this body that you're in that's beautiful, even if you're challenged by it right now. And the challenge can come in many different ways. It's not about having the perfect body or feeling perfectly healthy all the time. Your body is where it is right now, and maybe your body feels exhausted, and maybe your body hurts. Maybe your body feels like it's aging and it won't do what it used to do. It is what it is, right? These bodies are what they are. So how do we come into loving alignment and embodiment and bring more of our spirit into this physical life? Because this world is a beautiful place, and this life is a rare adventure that we get to have on this planet. And what a wonderful thing to have these bodies, to be able to hug people and laugh and, look at a sunset and pet our dogs and our cats and our children and our lovers, and to be in these bodies, to taste a perfectly ripe peach, to take a hot bath at the end of a day. There are physical experiences that we get to have in these bodies that you don't get to have when you're just in your spirit form. So that's what blessed embodiment is, and I hope you'll join me. We start on Monday. It's this Monday, October 18th, and it's going to be a lovely journey. We're going to meet on Zoom. It's going to be a small group experience, so you will have time to share, to ask questions, to be mentored and loved and supported. I love you very much. I hope you have a gorgeous day or night, whatever time of the day it is as you're watching this. And I love you very much. Be well. Thank you.